Hello, today we're going to move into 3.2. It's really not much. It's not going to be groundbreakingly new because this really follows the same kind of rules that we were doing with our equation solving. And we're going to finish up with some word problems as well. But, if we were to solve and graph. Okay, so let's go ahead and do something like this. 3 minus 2 times x plus 1 is less than or equal to let's just go with 18, and then we'll have plus 4x. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Remember, you're going to bring the 3 down, distribute this -2. Remember, we want to get x by itself. Nothing's changed with our equation solving. It's just that instead of having an equal sign dividing the two sides, we now have an inequality sign dividing the two sides. Okay? And, here we're going to combine like terms. 3 minus 2 is just going to be 1. Okay? And then we want to move the x's preferably to the side where they're positive. And we're going to subtract 18. So we get -17. This is or equal to. Sorry about that. And when I divide by 6, I end up getting a fraction, right? I get -17 over 6 is less than or equal to x. Now remember, I suggested always reading it from the variable. So this is x is greater than or equal to -17 over 6. Now when we go ahead and set up our number line, put the action number in the middle. So now we're counting by sixths. So if that's -17, this would be -16 over 6. This would be -15 over 6. This would be -18 over 6. This would be -19 over 6. Now I know most of these, well, some of these fractions reduce, so I'm not going to worry about that on this. Remember, this says x is greater than or equal to. Or equal to means we color it in because that number is included. Greater than means we shade to the right. So we're all set. But the main thing I wanted to emphasize was the whole solving procedure does not change. Okay, it does not change. We're still using the same techniques that we've done before. Okay, let's do 4 minus 3x is greater than, oh, we're just going to do something kind of simple here, okay? 22. Now it's simple in some ways, but not in others. I'm going to refresh your memory. We got to move this 4 over. Now remember, this is still negative, and that would be 18. Now when we divide, you notice how we're going to divide by -3? Whenever we divide or multiply both sides by a negative number, we're kind of flipping around the inequality. So we have to change this direction. This becomes x is less than or less than -6. I hope you remember that from last year. So it's only when you divide or multiply by a negative number that you switch this direction of the inequality. Now, of course, we set up our number line, open circle. It says x is less than, so we shade to the left. Okay. Again, solving techniques are the same. That's the only thing that's different is when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to change the signs. Okay. You have to change the direction. Let's do 5 minus 2x is less than, we'll go with -2. 4x, and then minus 17. Okay. So I'm hoping you're realizing that, I like to get the x's on the side where they're positive. Really, it doesn't matter which side you put them on, but I'm going to move them over here. And at the same time, I'm going to move this 5 over here. So this becomes 2x. This becomes negative 22. Now, I picked this problem for a reason. You see how this is negative? That doesn't matter. It doesn't impact. You don't switch this sign now because we're still dividing by a positive 2. So we get x is less than negative 11. And you kind of get the idea here. Its own open circle, go to the left. It's only if you are dividing by a negative when you switch that direction. All right. Let's go up and look at these word problems, because we'll see some of this practice here as well. But now, like we did before, we have to define a variable. So if you read through this, in order to receive a B in your class, you must earn more than 350 points. Last week you earned 120 points, and this week, really what this should say is, and I apologize for this, in order to receive at least a B in your class, you must earn more than 350 points. Last week you earned 120, this week you earned 90. How many more points must you earn to receive at least a B? So what we're dealing with here, of course, is the number of points. And let's start with last week. So last week we had 120. This week you earn 90. Then you're going to earn some more, hopefully. And our threshold is 350. So where you have to spend a little bit of time is thinking, what is this inequality sign going to be? Which direction is it going to go in? And should it have a line underneath it or not? And we have to, this says you have to earn more than 350. So we want the number of points that we earn to be greater than 350. And notice how it says you have to earn more than. It doesn't say 350 is going to give you the B. So we're just going to kind of leave it at that. There's not going to be any line underneath this. Now the rest of this is easy. That was the hard part. 120 and 90 is 210. Subtract the 210. And you get x is greater than 140. Now what's different here is you should give a little sentence at the end. You must earn more than 140 additional points for at least a B. And there's a couple different ways you could have said that. You must earn over 140 additional points. That would have worked. But you want to be clear that you kind of explain that answer. But still, again, you define your variable, you set up an inequality. What's different here is you give a little explanation at the end. Here we're talking about the number of at-bats. Where is Jessie right now? She has 125. She wants at least 140 bats for the season, so we're going to add in this unknown x. And it says at least this threshold is going to go on the right-hand side. So at least means what? That means this number has to be bigger than 140 or equal to. It means it has to be 140 or more. So we get that, but again, we need a little sentence. Jessie needs 15, needs at least 15 more at-bats to reach your goal. You know, what's another way you could say it? Jesse needs 15 at-bats or more. You know, that would work as well. Okay? I'm going to go to this last one, and then we'll come back and do number 3 in a moment. Number 3 is a little bit harder. Suppose it takes no more than 25 minutes to get to school. If you've already traveled 13 and a half, X is what? Number of minutes left. Where are you at right now? You're at 13.5. You're going to travel X additional minutes, and it says no more than 25. So the threshold goes on the right. This is going to be less than, because it's no more than that, less than or equal to. So we subtract 13.5. X is less than or equal to, that comes out to what? 11.5. So it will take you up to 11 and a half more minutes. Okay. Or you could say, you know, it would take you 11 and a half additional minutes or less. You see, there's different ways you could say this. You can get a higher interest rate on your savings account if you maintain a balance. A balance, remember, that's how much money you have in the account, of at least $1,000. So that's the threshold. That's going to go on the right-hand side. The balance in your account right now is $11.50. You deposit $200. What is the amount of money you can withdraw? X is what? The amount you can withdraw. And this is in dollars, of course. So where are we at? The balance in your account now is $11.50, so that's where we're at. You deposit $200, that means you put money in. What is the amount of money that you can withdraw? Withdraw, of course, is money. That's what you take out. And we said X is the amount you can withdraw, but because withdraw is money coming out, that's going to have a negative in front of it. That's a subtraction. You're drawing down from your account. And the threshold, whoops, I'm not too sure if that's even right. Let's see here. The threshold was what, $1,000? We want the amount of money in our account on the left-hand side to be at least 1,000. So it has to be more than 1,000 or equal to it. Okay. Combine like terms. Get rid of this. Divide by -1. Now remember, dividing by -1, that's good because this becomes positive, but you have to switch this direction. X is less than or equal to 350. So that means what? You can withdraw $350 or less and still get higher interest. All right? But the main stuff here, guys, is, you know, when you divide both sides by a negative, you switch the direction of the inequality. Other than that, our equation solving rules still apply. Nothing's different. Okay, and sometimes we're going to be asked to graph our solution in the end.